My name is Richard Mack, and I'm the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona. And I've been fighting and standing for freedom the last 20 years of my life, and admonishing and hoping that peace officers and sheriffs across this country would keep their oath of office and adhere to their oath of office. And today we had a wonderful rally over at Lexington Green, where the first shot was heard around the world that started the path towards the Revolutionary War. And the Oath Keepers decided to meet there, and they asked me to be there. And the relationship between me and Oath Keepers is really an automatic one. It was a very easy one, because I've been preaching about the oath of office for years and years, about 2 decades now, and their message is the same. If you're in the military, and if you're in law enforcement, and especially if you're one of our nation's sheriffs, you took an oath of office to uphold and defend, preserve, protect, and obey the United States Constitution. If we had law enforcement in America that were doing that, keeping their oath to do just that, we would have our constitutional republic back tomorrow. That's how powerful this movement is. The Founding Fathers established a system that would keep the federal government impotent. This is the time to reenact that. The 10th Amendment basically tells the federal government, if you ever go outside Article 1, Section 8, where the Constitution delineates and details what they can and cannot do, if they want to get creative, or if they want to expand the federal bureaucracy, or if they want to expand the power of the central government, they must refer to the 10th Amendment, which clearly states, if we forgot anything, you can't do that either. And so the 10th Amendment keeps the federal government in check, because the states have the power to tell the federal government to stay out. And then, of course, that's going to just scare governors and state legislatures to death, because they might stop federal funding. What are you guys, crazy? Where do you think the federal government gets their money? It comes from you. Stop sending them the money, and they won't have anything over you anymore. But the main thing is, let's just follow the Constitution. That's my message. It's been my message for 20 years, and it's the Oath Keeper message. Just keep your oath of office, follow the Constitution. Is that too simple? I don't know. Well, the sheriff is the most powerful law enforcement officer in the country, and has the ultimate say in his county. No one supersedes his jurisdiction. And I want this made very clear. The President of the United States cannot tell your sheriff what to do. And in that same vein, none of the auxiliary departments below the President can tell the sheriff what to do. Quite to the contrary, when they're in his jurisdiction, he can tell them what to do. And I pray for the day that a sheriff in this country will arrest an IRS agent for trespassing, or for trying or attempting to victimize citizens in that particular sheriff's county. The county sheriff, America's last hope, is a detailed and documented evidence, irrefutable evidence, that the sheriff is indeed the ultimate authority in his county. It talks about the history of the sheriff, talks about the duties of the sheriff, talks about the sheriff's oath of office, and then I pose a question in the book. Sheriff, will you or won't you stand against tyranny? Can you imagine any sheriff saying no, or pragmatically saying no by what he does? This is a time for action, and this is a time for sheriffs to stand up and be counted. It's time to walk tall, Sheriff. Get on board. In 1994, I was one of a handful of sheriffs, and being the first in the country to file a lawsuit against the Clinton administration. And the long story short is, we won. And you can Google the Mack Prince, P-R-I-N-T-Z, Sheriff Prince from Montana, Sheriff Mack from Arizona. We took a case all the way to United States Supreme Court on the side of states' rights and state sovereignty and local autonomy. We won. We kicked the federal government's butt. And it was the Clinton administration. And we lived to tell about it. How about that for a miracle? And the ultimate power of this decision is that it restored the 10th Amendment to the Constitution. It restored the rights of the local authorities to tell the federal government where to hang it. And this is exactly the power that James Madison was talking about when he said, we can safely rely on the disposition of state legislatures to erect barriers against the encroachments of the federal government. And so that's exactly what sheriffs should be doing, not allowing the federal government carte blanche in your county, but quite the opposite, keeping them in check. And just like my Supreme Court decision says, hence a double security arises to the rights of the people. And this principle of the separation of the two powers between local authorities and the federal government is one of the Constitution's structural protections of liberty. So what are we doing here when we stand against federal intervention? We are providing constitutional protections to our citizens, exactly what we promised to do when we took our oath of office. Well, how do we stand up to the federal government on anything? Is we have the courage to do so. And it takes local people like the sheriff to do that. I honestly believe that the last line or the last straw to break the camel's back on today's revolution is going to be more federal gun control. I don't think the sheriffs in Texas or along the Bible Belt or in the West, even some in California, are not going to put up with any more gun control from the federal government. There's too many sheriffs in these places, and there's too many sheriffs that have friends, family, and constituents that are hunters and gun activists, and that they know darn well are not going to give up their guns. I don't care how many assault rifle bans Barack Obama creates. The sheriffs are not going to allow any more federal gun control in their counties, and like I said, I honestly believe this will be the last straw for the sheriffs in this country. They're not going to allow it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I'll be home tomorrow, Mom. No, that's good, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate
Sheriff
it, you
Mack.
guys.
Right on.